Hey guys, welcome in. My name is Paul Prosise, and I am doing the weekend review video. This is the second week that we're trying to do this, and we're going to just look at the top videos or news things that I posted throughout the week. And as my social media grows, whether you're finding me on Facebook or Instagram or so, I don't really actually do much on Instagram. I probably should. What do I know? I'm an old guy, and I do a lot of stuff on my Facebook, but I have a YouTube channel, and then we're definitely going to try to grow our Rumble, and you know why we're going to try to grow our Rumble and do some other things. So make sure you're following me on all the places. Paul Prosise, just find me, type in Paul Prosise, Prosise. I know it's a hard last name, but just think precisely, and you may be able to find me. All right, so also make sure you're checking in. One thing before we get going, I've got a couple sponsors, but I'm going to talk about the first one first. Built.com. Built Bar is one of my favorite things. Built.com. Promo code Paul. Go and find them. They've got these really cool new products. These things, they're protein bar or balls, and I really like them. They're full of inside little almond butter or coconut almond or like these peanut butter inside. I really enjoy these. Great new products. While they last, get them. I'm sure they're going to come out with new flavors and that kind of stuff. And they're really delicious. My kids love them. I would highly suggest them. Great little snacks. And then they've also got all of the other flavors that I really like. Salted caramel is one of my favorites. And then they've always got specialty flavors like raspberry cheesecake that comes out on occasion, some other things. Go now, built.com, promo code Paul at checkout, and you can do that. It saves you money at discount, and then it also goes to help me and my family. It's a big deal. It does help out. Pay for all the things that we're doing here. paulprosise.com. Also, for any details and way to get a hold of me, and if you have tips, go to paulprosise.com, and you can get a hold of me and let me know what you're thinking. We have got this post here. Of course, a lot of you guys saw this graphic. Last week I posted my own graphic, but I probably should have stuck with my own graphic because this one got fact-checked, of course, by the fact checkers. And they came out with this partly false bullcrap. Of course, their claim is that it was gifted. The U.S. gifted the Afghan, including 358,530 assault rifles and 222,174. Of course, they get into the nuance of stuff, and they say, we rated this false claim that the Biden administration gifted the Taliban $80 billion plus. Now, they get away with this partly false because somebody somewhere said that they gifted it. Did I say gifted in here anywhere? Nope. But somewhere in the Facebook sphere or Instagram sphere said the U.S. military gifted the Taliban this. And so they get away with these things because somebody somewhere said gifted. Now, did they gift the Taliban the military weapons this? No. But we know because of leaked phone calls from the Afghan president to our president, President Biden, that this was a planned event. They knew plenty of time in advance that these things were going to be handed over or freed up or expatriated from the Afghan military in some way, shape, or form because the U.S. military had no intent in securing these weapons in any way, shape, or form. They had no reason to, or no plan to secure these weapons and take them home. They had no reason or no intent or no plan to leave them to the Afghan army, who they knew ahead of time, since April at minimum, that we know of. We know officially now because of that leaked phone call that Biden knew and had planned to withdraw and had planned to cover up and have cover and asked for cover for his withdrawal since April. So these Facebook fact checkers aren't really telling the truth, but they get away with it And then they get to manipulate algorithms, and they get to throttle pages like mine and then hurt potential income. So when we talk about Built Bar or Tuttle Twins or MHK clothing or any of these things that help me bring this stuff to you on a permanent basis, or saying, hey, can you guys help me make this a full-time job? That kind of a thing, right? Hey, go to my link tree. I'm hitting 200,000 people in a week. All of a sudden that goes down to 1,000 people a week because they're messing with my algorithm because of fact checkers being dishonest. Like, this stuff hurts people like me trying to get it to as many people as we can. And really, frankly, I didn't think that I would be doing this stuff, but all of a sudden I post some things and it keeps going bigger and bigger. So I thank every one of you that are following me, and I put stuff out there and I say, I wonder if this is even going to work. I put a post out there and say, hey, is Facebook even going to allow this? Because it's talking about COVID and it's really about the efficacy of things. And then all of a sudden, because it is true. And then people are following because they want to learn more about this stuff. And I'm always trying to figure out truth, whether it is calling out Republicans or calling out Democrats. You'll actually, if you look back in my timeline and my history, personal or not, that I'm actually fairly consistent in that. I know a lot of people will call me, and you'll actually see a post here. They'll call me names because I am not one to just follow the party line. I'm actually not a Republican any longer. I was for a long time. I worked in party politics. I got people elected. I worked for campaigns, and then I worked for organizations. I created videos for campaigns. I did things. I've done lots of partisan things, but then I just had enough. I realized that things were just not working out well in the party. And frankly, here in Colorado, my opinion is, even though there are people within local party politics that are doing the right thing and trying to work to do stuff in a freedom-loving way, and I understand that, but there are a lot of things also that are along the Lincoln Project type stuff. Frankly, here in Colorado, we see that. We see people that here in Colorado that have buddied up with people on the Dominion lines. I mean, if you want to know the epicenter of that whole fiasco, look no further than Colorado. This battle has been going on for 10, 12 years. So, and I've been right there. If you want to know my frustrations, you can look back 10, 12 years. And I've actually been a part of fighting some of these things and looking back at the Board of Education, and there was only a few parents and myself and a couple other people saying, where the crap is everybody? And I'm not joking. Sitting there giving a testimony in a Board of Education room, like, what in the world? What is going on? Why are there no parents here? As a parent myself in Douglas County at the time, I'm in Arapahoe County now, but like, where is everybody? Now, it's awesome to see parents who have woken up, and it's good that they've woken up, and I'm glad that they've woken up, and then looking around and saying, why is it now? It's good that you're here now, but why is it now that you're finally here when it's frankly almost too late? Because they've been indoctrinating your kids for years, and we've been trying to get you to be here now. Instead of you clacking off for the last 10 years on your Facebook page and your Twitter feeds, you need to be doing this stuff and need to have been doing this stuff for a long time. Now, I got involved in the Tea Party and I went down. This is a lesson that I learned. I went down and I was yelling and screaming at a building. I went down and the 912 project was getting going and the Tea Party was raging. I went down to the state capitol here in Colorado, and I looked up in the balcony, and there was some politicians and somebody else, and they were waving their tea bag, and I'm like, you bunch of hypocrites. because I'm like, these guys, and I took pictures and I actually zoomed in with my camera and I took pictures of their nameplates. And I went and I talked to every single politician that was out there waving their tea bags as if they were signaling that they were part of the Tea Party. Now I can say 3 of the guys that were up there still have those values. A couple of them, frankly, have not. They haven't lived that. But several of them still have, and they're still there. A couple of them are actually still in politics, which is awesome. Because we have in Colorado, we have a limit on how long they can be there. But I'm just telling you, if you want to be involved, you can't just yell at a building. You've got to confront the people. You've got to talk to them. And you can't just clack some crap off on the internet. And my hope is in doing these things and talking about what we've talked about throughout the week and talking to you guys is you'll learn from some of my personal experiences as a pastor, as a police officer, and a political operative and doing these things, is that you'll actually learn how to get involved, and you'll be encouraged that we can be involved, and that being moral people, you can make a difference. You really can. That if you stand for something, you'll make a difference. But if you stand for nothing, nothing will change. And if you go and post something and then post something else and they're morally opposites, then you're not going to make a difference. So if you're saying, yay, I'm going to go off and be morally bad on the weekend, and then you're saying, way, I'm pro-life. Like, we need to be consistent on the things that we say online and do online. And that's where what we tend to be and how we tend to lose arguments. And as I've said in many other videos, is that we also need to be consistent in our language. So those are the things that you'll see from me going forward in the videos that I make. All right, so let's keep going. All right, so speaking of calling out both sides, Rick Perry, and this is funny because, a lot of my other posts will get 100, 200, 300 reactions and shares and things, which is great and fun, but that's only because people agree with me. But when I call out a Republican or a conservative or some mayor that's doing something boneheaded that happens to be Republican, notice how many likes and shares I get. And I just find that interesting because, frankly, Rick Perry says, hey, we're not going to lower this flag half-staff for the soldiers that died. We're going to fly it full because we are patriotic. Guess what? We've always lowered our flag half-staff. Always. That's what we do. And even though it's President Biden that ordered the flags half-staff, that's still the president. We still respect the office of the president. And yeah, we don't respect the man because he's a douchebag. Sorry. He's an evil man. He's doing evil things. Yep. But we can still at least have some modicum of respect for the office. He ordered them half-staff for our soldiers that were murdered. And we can respect their lives by lowering the flags half-staff. And I don't agree with that protest. We're gonna raise them. Yes, we can raise our flags proudly, but for that moment, we can signify their lives at least for just a week or two or whatever, however long that order was, and we can do that, and we can be in unison there. But that's a stupid protest. I'm sorry to say, it's stupid. It's ridiculous. It's virtue signaling nonsense. It is. It is ridiculous, and I don't think it's just as dumb as a virtue signaler. Right, you see a politician that doesn't need the face mask but puts it on right before they go on. We see AOC for a photo op, puts it on right as they get ready to take the picture, but she doesn't know that she's being filmed and takes it off right as the picture's done. That's what that reminds me of. That's the hypocrisy that reminds me of, and it's frustrating because you're actually playing with people's deaths. And I don't like it. Fauci is the worst kind of gutter filth. Yeah, I agree with that. When we send 26,000 troops to rescue and secure 535 Congress members who hid under their desks from people with flags and red hats, 5,000 troops were just sent to one of the most dangerous areas in the Middle East and rescue 15,000 Americans. Yep. Yeah, I mean, there is that. It is pretty frustrating. We had that virtue signaling, but we used American troops after January 6th. And we have the FBI report that says that there was nothing there. There was no planned insurrection. And even though the day of January 6th was an evil day, there's bad things that happened and injuries to cops and bad things happened. And as a former cop, I'm seeing these things. And I'm like, man, this is really bad. And anybody that was a part of that needs to be held accountable. And I am all for holding people that did bad things accountable. But I also think there's so many questions that need to be asked. Why were people ushered in? Like, we need to ask that. Why haven't we seen the hundreds of thousands of hours of footage? And why can't we subpoena people in the times leading up? If we're going to be getting records of congressmen only from the Republicans, why can't we get all the records from the Democrats? Like, it doesn't make any sense. There's just so many questions around that. A lot of that doesn't make sense to me. Why the hypocrisy there? Fauci now pushing COVID-19 vaccine mandate for children to even attend school. We knew that was going to come, of course. The Washington Post, I found this interesting and hastily arranged in person. This was the leak call. So we know that. So we have that phone call, Afghanistan press, the Biden between the press. But I'd find it interesting that we're kind of off that narrative. I mean, today's Friday. Monday we were talking about it, but today's Friday and we're basically off that. If you look at the media, you don't really see anything about that. What are we talking about in the media? We're talking about COVID again. We're talking about the Texas abortion ban, about how it's my body, my choice again. But it isn't, because it's my body, my choice only pertains to abortion, but it doesn't pertain to vaccines. And it just, like, the whole arguments are just, it's just ridiculous, these things. So this was a controversial post of mine, because initially the video, in fact, I've actually looked for the full video of this. The video that was released was one video of one moment of Joe Biden checking his watch for 1 minute or 1 second. Now, in that context, it's a big makey-uppy story. And it is. In that context, it is definitely a ridiculous makey-uppy story. It doesn't make any sense why people would screenshot this. Why would you screenshot that if that's all you have is that footage? Now, why wouldn't you show and edit together him looking at his watch multiple times? We have some reports from families that were there, and I would much rather take the word, and these reports didn't come out, and the testimonies of these families didn't come out until after the fact. And they had said that he looked at his watch every time they came out, so they would salute or they'd put their hand on the heart as the coffins have come out. And I've been a part of coffins coming off of processions and stuff as a former cop that was near a army base and stuff. So I've been a part of these things. The coffin comes out, you salute or you put your hand on your heart as the president would. And every time they say that he would do that, they'd put their hand down and he would look at his watch every time. So in that context, if he was looking at his watch every time, that definitely makes a difference. But in the context of what I saw and what was given to us at the time, given to us by all the right-wing media, including Daily Wire, including The Blaze, including all the right-wing, the only thing that was ever shown to us and all the video that I was able to find was just 1 second. And I'm like, dude, this is just makey-uppy bullcrap. And we don't need to do this. We don't need to push out these things. It's not disrespectful for somebody to go, that's not disrespectful. Now, if he's doing that and then that and then that and then that, that's disrespectful. Like, I can get on board with that. But I'm telling you, 1 second, if that's all it was, just 1 second, one time, that's not disrespectful. And I just think that we need to be better people that are standing up for different things. There's so much other crap, all the Afghanistan stuff and holding people accountable and all the things that, like, the plan since July. There's so many things, and leaving. I mean, think about it. I have stuff written down, like 40 students from California were just abandoned there. We have 40 students from California still there. Thousands of others still there, left behind. But they don't want to talk about that anymore, because that would mean that we have to keep talking about Joe Biden's failure. It's insane. Why aren't we still talking about these things? Because that would probably even lead to potential impeachment. Now, let's talk about that impeachment stuff, because that has been pushed and pushed and pushed. And I've been privately messaged and asked, why aren't you talking about impeachment? Okay. Mitch McConnell actually was correct in saying it's not going to happen. And here's why: because it's a state or Senate controlled by Democrats, and it's a House controlled by Democrats. That is correct. And you also, with the 25th, you have to have the vice president on board. And it's not going to happen unless all of a sudden he truly has 100% of his mental faculties gone. So I actually I try to really be pragmatic in my approach to these things. I really do. So as much as I would like to say, oh, turnabout's fair play. Now it might, if the Senate and the House or something is won and there's this truly there's what red wave happens and there's no widespread anything silliness goes on. And, you know, I mean, in 2022 and that, like, the House and the Senate flips like it's predicted to happen, we might see some impeachment proceedings happen. But here's the deal. I don't even know if that would happen even then. Why? Because of politics, and because I've been in DC, and because I know that it is more in their interest, honestly. Now, I think that there'll be people like Marjorie Taylor Greene that will file, and I think that there'll be people on the I think there'll be people that'll file for those things, but I don't know if it'll ever reach impeachment unless it just gets really, really, really bad. Because the fundraising opportunities for these guys that have been there a really long time to say, well, yeah, I'm in favor of impeachment, the Lindsey Grahams and McConnells of the world, the opportunity for them to just rake in millions and millions and millions of dollars off of that is too juicy for them. The Unity Party types, I believe it's just way too juicy for them to give away. So they exploit what they can't win. And I don't believe that they would win an impeachment because the numbers, I don't think they'll win big enough numbers to get a conviction in the Senate. And I think they might be able to get big enough numbers in the House to go through it, but it would have to be through bullcrap proceedings like they did with Trump. So I just think that it's unlikely. 25th Amendment's different. So that might happen if he gets really sick or something like that. But I just think that we need to have clear eyes going into this and just have level heads. I think there's level heads that need to be I just, we need to have realistic expectations going into these things. The WHO has more confusion coming out of the place because one doctor, and see, this is the problem. One doctor says one thing. The WHO actually says, don't get a third shot. Hold your horses to the CDC. Hold your horses on the boosters, on the third boosters, because there's issues with more variants. And I'm not a scientist. I don't know all the things, but all I know is that the WHO is like, whoa. And then one doctor comes out. One doctor from the WHO says, yeah, go ahead. So of course the mainstream media latches onto that one guy and the whole organization and pushes it. And then they wonder why there's all this confusion and hesitancies. And it is confusing because then the CDC says one thing, and then there's a study out that says that masks don't work as we're told to believe that the CDC says that they do work. So the CDC contradicts their own studies that they release, and then they release another studies that says they do work, that they don't work, and then they do work. And so it's confusing. And because one group within their own place is more political, frankly, then the other side is more scientific. And so this more scientific will produce a study. And then one side is more political within the CDC, and they produce another study. And it all becomes extremely confusing. And so without getting into actual science or pushing any kind of mandates or any kind of advice, it is confusing. Like, it just is. And so it is no wonder that these things become extraordinarily confusing to everybody. Yeah. So we've got a whole bunch of other posts, of course. Miley being a douche. Of course, Biden doesn't care. Talk about a bunch of things. I think the monoclonal antibodies is an interesting thing, and I would highly recommend you read what I posted here, and you can scroll down and find it. It is a link to the Courier Journal, and it is something that Dr. Senator Rand Paul posts. And I don't know all of these things. And I just think it's interesting. I would highly encourage you to go read what the monoclonal antibodies could potentially do for you. I don't know what it all does for you, but if it could help you, maybe research it and talk to your doctor about it. And maybe it'll be a really good thing for you. Maybe it won't, but go and see, I'm trying to find that line where I'm allowed to say things because, frankly, on YouTube, I have had a warning, not a strike, a warning, and had my video pulled down because I said something too far over the line. And even though I was on the line, I know for a fact I was, but whatever. We'll play these games. So somebody reported me. I guarantee you is what it was. Chicago violence has gone up. I've done a couple of these posts, and I get these from heyjackass.com. But Chicago violence has gone up since last year with no end in sight. So tell me again how these two Second Amendment restrictions in Colorado work out. They don't. They obviously don't. They're hurting us. They're hurting the citizens in Chicago. Just this month of August, I guess it was. In the month of August, we had 84 people shot and killed, shot and wounded, 421. Total people shot were 504. The amount of homicides were 87. So that's pretty significant. We had people. I would highly encourage you, Just the News. If you're looking for a news source, Just the News is absolutely incredible. They aren't political, but they talk about and they provide you sources, and they are, if you're looking for a news source, go for Just the News. They posted a thing about the an Afghanistan colonel attached to the 82nd Airborne Division. And, they had a text message back and forth from some people, and you can just look at the text message. And he was basically upset that they're abandoning, in his words, they're abandoning American citizens and removing the expletives. But yeah, one of the other big things was the Grace Community Church out in California. That is John MacArthur's church, winning in California against the city and county and the states. And they were ordered to pay $800,000, I believe. Somebody fact checked me on that. I believe it was $800,000. And my post was actually taken from a buddy of mine that's on my private page. And I kind of stole that from him. So all credit goes to that guy. He's a private guy. I'm not going to name him. He's very, very smart, much smarter than me. So the writing is actually better than what I ever could produce. But yeah, it just proves that if you stand for something, which they do, in the churches, there's actually a lot of churches in the country that stood for their right to assemble, their right to worship, the right to do the right thing, that they stood for the right things, that the government was 100% wrong. They were just doing all the wrong things. And then they had to actually pay them because they violated their rights. So that was great. I love to see that. I found this one funny. This was sent to me in some private chats. I can't wait until the fifth wave when the people with 4 shots or blame it on the people with 3 shots. That was pretty funny. I thought that was hilarious. So we got some other things. Hey guys, if you have some stories that you want to send to me, and I'm not just looking for these political based things, so they can be adoption stories or foster stories or coming home stories. There's actually a lot of stories of soldiers coming home that are unenlisting. If you have something not really unenlisting, that's not really a thing, but not re-upping, but are coming home, I'd love to see videos of that. If you want to send, have a place that can post that, I can post them on my website and this page. And if you want to share that with me and share that with a growing audience, I'd love to be a part of that. I'd love to tell your story. I can even interview you and just talk to you and tell us your story. I have a really cool system that we can bring them in. It's not Zoom, but just another system that's really, really cool. We can just have a really cool interview and chat. We can do these things one-on-one, or your significant other, whoever's coming home, and we can have these really cool things. So just email me, paulprosise at pm.me. That's Proton Mail, highly secure. I even have the upgraded security on all of that. So yeah, just do this. Real men are pro-life. I 100% agree with that. If you're calling pro-lifers the American Taliban, you are beneath contempt. I'm all for that. Men can pass abortion bans because we can get pregnant now too, which pretty much sums up the end of this week. If you haven't seen my video here, I've posted this. It's on Facebook, but please go to my Rumble and see this. Give it some clicks and rumble it. Make it, boost it, whatever it's called. I think it's called rumbling. But yeah, help that get some views. It would, if you are looking for the Rumble, go here to the link tree and then follow the link. Then go here to Rumble. Find it. Fatty Reviews. I only have 5 views on there. It's a small channel, obviously, right now. I only have a few people that follow it. But that would be greatly beneficial. And I would it would just be beneficial to help me out with these things. Hey, by the way, I'm going to provide the link below, but go to Tuttle Twins and get these things for your kids or for yourself. These are Tuttle Twins are one of the best resources that I have done for my children. I have a 4-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 15-year-old now. And they all are in different phases of life, obviously, and they have all enjoyed these things. I'm telling you, I got them for when my kid was 14. These right here, these ones, these guidebooks, these logical fallacies, inspiring entrepreneurs, and the courageous heroes. This logical fallacies is actually kind of a dangerous one because it actually teaches them how to break down arguments. It's really, really good for classes and them figuring out how to have a good conversation or figure out what people are talking about in front of them. So when they have these ridiculous arguments or cases presented to them in school, they can say, that's not necessarily true. Now, here is the danger. They can call you out on your hypocritical nonsense as a parent. I have no experience with that whatsoever. But for the younger ones, obviously, there are some really good resources as well. My daughter loves these, and it's teaching really great principles as well. The link's going to be in the videos, and then we have some really good books for kids that are younger as well. And my other younger daughter really loves these as well. Links in chat, all of these things that I'm talking to you about. You can find some other things in that link tree that I do, the mhkclothing.com. That's my private company that I have. Any of these things, or if you are able to, would you consider supporting me? I'm doing this stuff full time, and it would just be beneficial if you have the ability to support me. Go ahead and do that. That's all I'll say about that. Hey, it was a great week. It's a crazy week. There's a whole lot more things that we could have covered, but I'm just encouraged and so thankful for everybody. We're approaching 8,000 followers on Facebook, and then I know we're gonna explode on all the other places as well with your guys' help. Thank you so much for dropping in. My name is Paul Prosise. Find me at Paul Prosise everywhere. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you soon. Bye.